Alright guys, CDR here, and let's talk about Night of the Living Dead, 1968. And this month and next month I will talk about the original 6 Romero movies, and then I will talk about the 1990 Tom Savini directed remake of Night of the Living Dead, which I have actually not seen, unfortunately. And then the 2004 Dawn of the Dead. The only one I haven't seen is that 1991. So I'm excited to see it because I really enjoy a majority of these movies. Later along the line, there's a couple I don't like, but for the most part, I really enjoy most of these. The first 3 I really love of Romero's movies, but the first Night of the Living Dead in particular, in 1968, just like Psycho from 1960, they made this a black and white movie. So it's funny because it seems like it's older than what it is in terms of like when it was released. And honestly, having this black and white, I think makes this movie way more effective and way more something like you'd see from, like, say, the Universal Monster movies or something along those lines that were in black and white with the creepy blackness and with things in the dark with black and white. I think actually makes that very effective and makes that work very, very well because using that, having that use of darkness, to me, works in this movie and works in a lot of those other monster movies where, like, you have so much more darkness that works to a greater effect than if it was in color. If that makes sense. I think it's just a very cool way of utilizing darkness. This movie in particular, and it builds on the sense of dread because the opening of the movie, where, like, it's Barbara and the guy, like, they both are, like, in the daytime, but, like, the way it looks in black and white makes it, like, more dreary and, like, dreadful. And I think that's very cool and very creative, just to make this movie have more of a sense of dread to it. Also, I like the fact that the zombies are walking very, very slow. I think that actually is scary. Like the first scene where Barbara and Johnny are at the gravestone, and, like, Johnny sees the zombie and thinks it's like a normal guy, and he's just walking slow, and it's very creepy. And we get that insanely memorable line where he says, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." And then she says, "Stop it, you're acting like a child." Like, that scene is awesome, and I remember, I am so nostalgic for this scene, even though I've only seen this movie a couple times, because of the original Halloween 2, which I have seen dozens of times, because that's in the movie, in Halloween 2, which just cracks me up that I am so nostalgic over this movie, even though I've only seen it a couple times, and really do love it. But because of Halloween 2, that's the first thing I think about before the actual movie. Because it works very creepy in that movie as well, where Michael Myers is grabbing a knife from, like, the neighbors next door, and, like, they're just watching Night of the Living Dead. That's so cool. And the opening chase in this movie with Barbara is really, really fantastic. It actually is really scary. And it leads to one of my absolute favorite jump scares in a movie ever, but, like, it builds on her running away from the zombie, her running into a house, her looking all around the house for a couple minutes, which I think is great, because then whenever you get this jump scare, it's incredibly effective. But there is a moment where Barbara starts walking up the stairs, and she looks, and then there is a shot of a dead body just sitting there, and it zooms in on it real quickly. And that is one of my absolute favorite jump scares ever. I legitimately was jumped, like, watching it the first time. I've seen this a couple times, but the first time I watched this, it blew me away in how scary and horrifying that scene was. And it's just like a dead body there, and, like, and there's so many horror movies that do that, but, like, that way it was shot and how it zoomed in on the body was so good and so excellent. It was just so cool. Just that buildup is so fantastic. And the basic plot of this, if you don't know, is that it's about a lot of people just in this one house ganging together against the zombies. And that's the whole movie. It's just them in this house trying to ward off these zombies that are trying to get them. And this movie also is revolutionary in a way where we have a black lead. I think this might be the first, I mean, I could be wrong. I feel like I feel like they said that on the horror noir documentary, which is on Shudder, which is really great. It's about African Americans in horror. It's a very, very great documentary, and it was saying that he was the first, that he was the first black lead in a movie. Which, if so, that's awesome that it's in horror. I really think that's cool because I love horror. It's so I love having that as that having a reasoning for like having some revolutionary thing like that. And Dwayne Jones is the actor who plays Ben in this movie. He's the main character. He's the one who makes it through to the end, even though he gets killed at the end. But he's the last one to stand throughout the movie. But Dwayne Jones, like George R. Romero, just like George Romero, what he did was he just saw this guy, he thought he was a great actor, and he put him as the lead. He didn't care about race. And I love that. I love that it was just that immediate turn because there's so many people in this time period who are like they don't want a black lead. And I hate that. I don't like that. But you know, I love the fact that George Romero was just like, nope, you're good. Let's put you as the lead. It doesn't matter if we'll piss people off, which I think is awesome. I love that they brought him in as the lead. He's really good in this movie too. He's very, very like assertive as a character too, and I love that George Romero also said that he didn't have color in mind. He just had this main lead guy, and he picked the best person for the job. So I love that. That's so awesome. And again, his performance is just so great and memorable. And honestly, Judith O'Dea as Barbara, I really like too. A lot of people say that she's annoying and horrible, but man, and I could see later in the movie when you're thinking that because the beginning of the movie she's not as like quote unquote annoying. Later in the movie, I feel like I can understand why people think she's annoying because she just stops like being reasonable. She just starts like flipping out. But if you were in a situation like this that really happened, I feel like some people would freak out like this. So to me, I felt like her performance was genuine, and I actually really liked her performance. I thought her and Dwayne Jones were great. They were both two great leads. All the performances are good, but those two in particular I really, really enjoy. And just so many shots in this movie are so incredibly memorable. Like whenever, like I said at the beginning, with them at the grave, where like the way it's shot, the way it looks is just so scary looking and dreadful. And whenever they get to the house, whenever they have all the zombies outside doing everything they can to keep these people from leaving, like they're smart enough to break the lights on the car and like they blow up the car. And I love that shot of whenever the woman I forgot what her name is, but the woman and guy character that have the daughter, and the daughter is turned into a zombie, and the mom is downstairs with her, and the zombie daughter grabs a shovel and just starts stabbing her. And like the mom's reaction, just like that, like face is really scary and really, really effective. And again, that's another great shot of like it's on the actual movie poster because it's so memorable. That shot of her getting killed, the mom character. So I love that, and it blows me away in how this movie is so beautiful too. It's just a beautiful looking movie for being black and white, and that's no way to say it's an insult to black and white movies because I really do like black and white movies. But to me, like I love whenever they make movies like that with a purpose, like being black and white, because this one I felt like was made with a purpose to be black and white. So was Psycho. They were made with purposes to give you that sense of dread, and that takeaway of color, I think, makes it very effective. And this one in particular just really works on that ground in just being very interesting and how horrifying it is with the loss of color. And I really like the characters. I really like everything about it. I think this is a great horror movie, and it's one that everybody loves, and I'm no exception. I love this movie. And the ending, I love the ending too because it is so sad. Man, because Ben makes it to the very end. He's the last one in the house. and all these guys are coming and shooting all these zombies down with guns. And then he walks out with a rifle in hand, and they just shoot him dead. And it's just such a sad way to end the movie, because you really did like this main character, and like then he's just dead, and like everybody's dead. The movie ends on a note that's so sad and just dreadful. And I love how a movie can make you feel that way, like that sense of dread. Like this movie is a very dreadful movie, and I love that. There's no hope for anybody in this movie. There was none at all. In this first film, so I think that's fantastic, and this just blows me away every, like, since I've rewatched this again. Like, I always forget how great this movie is, because I don't typically rewatch it a lot. It's not one that's very rewatchable for me, but it is a fantastic movie, and I really love it. Again, on rewatch, loved it as much as I did before. So that is my review on the 1968 Night of the Living Dead. And if you like this video, tell me down below what you think, and check my links down below. And thank you guys so much for watching.